Right, okay, so we've done Linux Mint in Steam Deck mode, and that gave us great results. And we did Pop Cosmic in Steam Deck mode, and again that gave us great results. So what we're doing now, we're going to look at Cachy. Now, I wrote a version of the Cachy games, the games launcher for Cachy. You can also install like a Cachy Deck mode, which turns it into a Steam Deck, but it's sort of a bit problematic because you always boot. I don't know, you can probably tweak it. You always boot into the Steam Deck mode, and then you have to go back to the desktop. This way, you basically boot into Cachy and use it as usual, and then you do Super Alt S to boot it into the games mode. Now, they've updated something as well on Cachy. So at the moment, it works perfectly well, but you have to exit from the deck mode by like you normally would by switch to desktop. I mean, I did build in key bindings, but they keep changing stuff. But Super Alt S gets you in, and then basically switch to desktop like you normally would in sort of deck mode, gets you back to the desktop. Now, the Cachy is an interesting one, isn't it? Because Cachy, I'm going to do Bazzite next. Cachy's pitched as like the gaming operating system, and it's very flexible, and it's not something that you should jump into if you're coming straight from Windows. It'd be quite confusing for some people, I'd imagine. You get multiple desktop choices, Hyperland. It's brilliant for people like me who like know about Linux. We can do what we want with it. It's very, very flexible. But for a beginner, maybe not. However, because they tweak the binaries and the kernel, and they make it more sort of focused towards like high performance mode, then it should be like the top end gaming one. But I think my exercise here is once you remove Plasma, is the one I've got it installed on. Once you move the desktop environment, you're really dealing with the same Linux, or are you? I mean, Cachy pitches itself, it's got high performance scheduling and stuff like that. Is that difference big enough from like running Linux Mint, which is a lot more comfortable for people, or Pop, which to me is like a really good middle ground area? Great, Cosmic's a great desktop environment. So what this one will show us, and then Bazzite as well. I'll do Bazzite afterwards. Will that be a bigger jump to pull you away? I mean, and there's an interesting thing. I watch people struggle with Steam a lot and games. You've got to remember something very, very important here. Steam is basically on Linux purely so they could get it on the Steam Deck. Okay, so if you're not running Steam in Steam Deck mode, then you're not really fulfilling what they wanted, because the whole concept behind this was to do it on Steam boxes and in Steam Deck mode and basically on Steam Deck. So if you're launching it from the desktop, you're going to hit problems. And I was just some guy on the Amarchi forums was having problems with Alt Raiders. It just wouldn't work properly on his machine. But the moment you launch it in a pure Gamescope session, all the problems go away. So I mean, doing it that way with these games launches is a much painless way to run your games and not have problems, because that's the way Steam is basically built. It's designed to be run in its own compositor without a desktop environment. And there you go. So if you do get problems when you run it from the desktop, you might launch Steam, click a game and run it, and you do get problems, then, well, there you go. If you launch it like this, like we're about to in a pure Gamescope session, you'll get very few issues. If it runs on Steam Deck, it'll run on this. So with that preamble out of the way, let's jump into Cachy. I'll launch up the games launcher, and then we'll just benchmark these 3 games I've done, and we'll see if there's going to be a difference, because it's Cachy and it should be quicker because of the binaries and stuff like that. Anyway, let's dive in. Okay, so here we are on Cachy's desktop. Now, they've done some changes behind the scenes to this, because it's not scanning for the drive. So to get around that, you need to launch Steam and attach your games drive if your games are external. Something I'll come back to and have a look at. But they do tweak stuff on Cachy quite a lot than the other distros. Anyway, so this is Super Alt S, and it'll launch us into the Steam Deck mode. I mean, this still works, but you just have to attach your drive before you launch it if you've got your games on an external drive. The other ones are automatic. So let's do Returnal first. I've got to stop 2 mode. It always starts to download something when I launch this. So stop. Let's come out of that. And I've set this up. So I've set this up as normal. So Control F2. I've switched on performance overlays, and I've disabled the frame rate limit. Otherwise, you'll cap out at 60 because it's pretending to be a Steam Deck, and Steam Decks don't go over 60 at the moment, I don't think. Anyway, so let's do Returnal. This will download some stuff. Let's just set settings, properties, compatibility, Proton GE, OK, and then play. Accept. And this has got to do some background downloading of something. But the score we're looking for is 97. It was 97 on Mint, 97 on Pop Cosmic. And it's exactly the same hardware and everything like that. So yeah, we're looking for 97 frames per second of the system. This is exactly the way I did it on the others. I've not run this yet. And if you watch the other videos, I've done the install. Why is that trying to download again? I stopped that. Stop Tomb Raider. Otherwise it interferes with this downloading. Okay. Give it a sec. This has to happen. Now, one of the things on the Cachy version, I've not done the cap. On all the other versions, it caps out at 1440p because there's an NVIDIA issue. This one is unrestricted, and you'll see the problem. But you can just go in and change it down to 1440p and your screen will stabilise. But some people don't have this issue. It's just maybe me. But I've capped it on the other ones. This one is open, so you can go in. I mean, people who are using Cachy and play with this know probably quite au fait with what to do. But it will you get complete screen breakup when you first launch if you launch into 4K. So you just need to go in, lower your resolution to 1440p, and then you'll get this. There is a, I mean, I'm sure this happens on Bazzite as well. So when you go over 4K with an NVIDIA card, you get screen problems. So here we go. And someone said to me in one of the comments about why I use MalgaHUD. Steam does have built-in performance overlays now, but they're just not great, and it gives you problems. So I sort of use MalgaHUD because I know it works. And I mean, it's problematic on Linux Mint and Pop because you have to do a build, but I mean, it's in the AUR. So because we're back in an Arch world, you can use what's in the AUR. So you've got to give this a second to sort of do its first start up, and we'll get the house marquee thing. But yeah, interesting. It is interesting, this. There's a lot of sort of like, what's the word? Territoriality over distros. This is the gaming one and this isn't the gaming one. I mean, I think the exercise for me is to just show they're all gaming ones. You just have to engage with the gaming the right way. Here we go. So, which is basically do what Steam does. I mean, I've never used Lutris. My entire games library is in Steam. So, you know, here we go. It's a bit jerky. So yeah, so we're looking for 97 when I run this. Be interesting to see. I am now. I've got them all. Now I've done Mint and Pop, which are Debian distros, basically, or Ubuntu. They're all based on Ubuntu, aren't they? It's interesting to see with the big guns. So now Cachy, and the next one I'll do is Bazzite, and then we'll just do the scores on the door at the end. But I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. As long as you use, for me, as long as you use Linux and you're playing games on Linux, I don't care what you use. But I mean, I'm just trying to give you a way to do this. Here we go. To get the best performance out of your machine and have less problems. Because you do see, like, Reddit and everywhere, it's like, I'm trying to launch this game, it doesn't work. If they work on Steam, they work. You know, if they work on Steam Deck, they work. But you've got to follow the philosophy of what Steam's about. Plus you get, you know, because the less people get stressed over games, people new people coming from Windows, you know, the more easier the games are run because you're not here for the operating system. You're here to do what you do in the operating system. So for me, on a Archie, I can use DaVinci Resolve perfectly. I can do coding perfectly. I can play my games perfectly. So that's the distro that works for me. And I also like the aesthetic of it. Everybody else is different, isn't it? That's the huge choice you have. But the choice can be a problem because of the sort of fragmentation of how you do things. And Steam, yeah, installs in Flatpak and everything like that, but does it run the same? And obviously, as I've discussed before, that you have a desktop environment in the way, and you're going through that to get to the hardware. I think it's problematic for gaming. It's slow to load. I think this is because my games drive is quite hammered because I haven't, I might need to completely wipe it and reinstall Ryzen now. Here we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And we're in. Okay, so escape, settings, video, 1440p, graphics. We make sure that we are on max frames, DLSS, everything's off, everything's the same. So this is, if you watch the other videos, this is basically what I do. So hang on, I need to apply that, don't I? When do you apply that? That's applied, isn't it? That's gone in. If it's at 60, I've done something wrong because it will be faster. So it's on quality. So let's run the benchmark. Okay, here we go. Yeah, the load ups are getting slower. I think it is, there's some kind of fragmentation going on my games drive because it's getting slower and slower when I do this, and it's not necessarily the platform. I think it's my. Here we go. Now 97 beats 97, then everything's true about Cachy. Probably, I don't know. We'll just wait till the end. Yeah, it is. It's a convenience over. To me, it's like a convenience thing. If you can get Cachy, if you have to do a lot of tweaking, you have to use an operating system that you're not au fait with to get 2 or 3 more frames, then okay, then Mint will do it, won't it? I mean, I've not tried on Fedora, I've not tried on a Red Hat distribution to do this. I mean, you're getting it. This would probably work on Manjaro, I'd imagine, if you're in Plasma. This launcher. What's the other one? Gawara and Endeavour. I've not tried it on Endeavour. I don't know what the session. It's all about the session switching. The base underlying technology, Gamescope, Chimera, the back end is the same. It's just the session switching that changes, and that's the bit that's the tricky part to get, because it's got to come out of the DE, shut down everything, go into your TTY, launch Steam, and then when you come out, it's got to restart all the services afterwards. So you're back on your desktop, and that's caused issues. It's doing quite well. I can see hundreds, a lot of hundreds in that thing at the top there. Here we go. 97. That's what we're looking for here. 97 or more. And I mean, yeah, can you live with those 2 frames difference, 3 frames? If it's 100, if it's over 100, then okay, hands down, this is the one. I'd be interested to see what Bazzite is actually. Bazzite's really tuned to games, so it'd be interesting to see. So yeah, same hardware. This has been done on all the tests. If you look at, if you've not seen any of the other videos, check the Linux Lint one. The Linux Mint. 97. There you go. There you go. Exactly the same as Mint. Exactly the same as Marchi, I think. Exactly the same as Cosmic Pop. So okay, continue. I think it's 85 now. We do Doom. I'm sure there's other tweaks, but I'm doing this out of the box because I mean, I don't think, a lot of people will install Cachy, I think, going, oh, I'll get extra performance, but you have to probably tweak to get it. End cycle and exit. You have to do more, don't you? I mean, these are out of the box performance specs. So unless you really are, so let's just go into, let's do Doom next. Let's just check that's set up to go. Properties, compatibility, GE, play, accept. So yeah, so if you're expecting extra performance because you're just running on Cachy, I don't think so compared for this. Okay, let's just see what doing. It should be about 85. I'm going to do a proper video though with all these comparisons in them because obviously I'm recording each of these. Here we go. It should, yeah, about 85, I think it is. It was 85 of the last ones if you've watched the other videos. But yeah, so this script is in the members area again. They've done some tweaking, as I said. They've done some tweaking to Cachy, so you can't get out of this. I'm going to have to probably do a bit more work on it. You have to exit to, we'll do it at the end of the video. You have to exit to desktop, but you normally, which that's fine. but it doesn't auto pick up your games drives, which is really annoying, because that was one of the problems for people. When they do this, you have to mount your games drives in Steam on the desktop before you start. Now, I don't want that. I mean, on the Miyamoto version I've done, and Pop and everything else, I just want to like start the computer, press super whatever version it is, whatever key binding it is, go into Gamescope mode, play games. I don't have to like launch Steam, add the drive, which I've had to do on this. So I'm going to have another look at why that's not picking up the drive. But if you don't mind doing it, then you know it's fine for you. Here we go. ID. Here we go. Doom Dark Ages. You can hear the fans ramp up. I mean, irrespective of the thing, I mean, it's great now, isn't it? I mean, I remember starting out with Linux to play games, and it was painful. It's painful. Proton's amazing. It really is. I mean, it's sort of like, if I go to Windows and get another 10 frames, it's not worth it, is it? You know, for the freedom you get using Linux distribution over installing Windows, and you know, all the rubbish that goes with it now with Copilot and all this other garbage that's on there that you don't really want, and you can't not put on. You have to uninstall it afterwards. Okay, so that's all. Continue. Okay, let's go to settings, and we want 40p. We want vertical sync off. We want to make sure that's on DLSS. Down here, we want, because it thinks it's a Steam Deck, Ultra Nightmare, and then we want to put that onto full textures, because 16 gig 5060 Ti, and now apply. Yeah, I mean, if you followed the genesis of this project, I mean, I started trying to do a Gamescope thing that launched inside without the session switching, and it just hit. I had so many problems with it because of mouse issues. It was just working compositor within compositor, because Gamescope is its own Wayland compositor of its own right. So you've got a compositor in another compositor, and that's just not great. It just didn't want to do it. So benchmarks, we do number 2, the Siege. Here we go. It should be about 85 to 87, I think, but I'll get the proper ones at the end. And the one to beat is the 99 that Linux Mint got in Cyberpunk. That's just the weirdest thing, and I ran that twice, and it was still like 98 and 97. Was it 97 and 99? So that was totally unexpected. Here we go. Right, here we go. Well, that's not looking good, is it? Although it's 70 now. I mean, that's really smooth. I mean, I have got the game cap off. I'm going to check the settings, because that's not great. 90, 69, 70s, it's 70s. I mean, it's super smooth, but this, it should be 75. That's weird. Yeah, I mean, we're doing this out of the box. I mean, all I've just done is Cachy, install Gamescope. This isn't looking good. What's going on with that? It's all the same Vulkan versions. It's all the same install on all of them. And in fact, the build on some of the, I think the build on Mango Hut, or the build on Gamescope, is slightly a slight version back on Mint, because there's a problem with Wayland with it. So I came across when I was building it. This isn't looking good. I haven't capped anything. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if I've got to tweak something lots to get it to get performance, then that's not great. I mean, it's a hobbyist. That isn't good at all. What's going on there? 63 settings. Let's just double check this before we say that that's the result. Refresh rate. You can't go above 60, but it doesn't matter to frame rate. Vertical sync is off. DLSS is on in its quality. Frame gen's off. Ultra nightmare like all the others. Okay. We'll give that. I'm going to give it another go. Just sit through that again. Sorry about that. That's just really weird. Benchmarks. That's not great. Because it's 85, 90s I'm looking at on Mint and. So doing it again. Still 60s. What is going on there? I'm sure the Catchy guys can tell me what's going on there. If you launch your Gamescope session on a 5060 Ti and everything's switched off, 67, 70, is that better than the last run? That's really odd. I'd expect this, literally, I'd expect this to be, the top. I wouldn't expect this to be slower. Now remember, Plasma shut down. There's nothing running in the background. And this is purely done with Gamescope and whatever's underneath Catchy. I mean, I haven't done any weird kernels. This is the default kernel that's on there. I've done nothing. This is literally from basic install. I mean, I can understand that games sort of perform slightly differently, but this is just not. I would expect great performance from this. I mean, 96, 97 on Returnal matched all the way across the board. Why is this so slow? This is just a default install. That's really interesting. A lot of the tweaks that are built into the Gamescope launcher are from Catchy's performance, because Catchy's got a great pack that you install to give you performance. I never used it. I've never used Catchy in anger because I sort of came to a Marchi and it's just that what it does. That does it. So what are we going to get from this? This should give me a comparison. 63. Max 64. The overall scores in the others were in the 80s. So I don't know what's going on there with that. That's just strange. That's not good, is it? Okay, quit that. Let's try Cyberpunk. Properties. Compatibility. Proton GE. Play. It's the same order if you watch. I think it's the same order as I've done them on every machine. I've just launched it, run it. I've not run them before either. So who knows if I come back to that. But that's the same test that I did in the other. That's so confusing. Yeah. Not quite sure what's going on. I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, Bazzite I think is as quick as Catchy. So I'll put Bazzite on. I'm going to do it in Bazzite in like home theatre mode, because I'm not going to write. I don't think there's any requirement to write a games launcher for Bazzite. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there is, but I don't know. I mean, continue that account. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to care about Witcher. I'm not interested. Okay, let's go in and see what we get. Now, the normal score is about 88, 87. Mint just messed up all my benchmarks by hitting 99 and 98. So yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, with this, so long as you can play the games, I mean, look, this is all loading without problems. There's no issues. And that's the key takeaway for me with all this entire exercise, is to basically make it super easy for people to just play games, and just get on here and not have to worry about the stupid command lines that you have to paste into Steam. to get a game working, you know, or I mean, if you've got your games and other things like God of Games, EA, what else is the other one? Amazon. I mean, you need something like Heroic or something to launch them. That's not. I mean, obviously that's not launching in Gamescope, so you're going to get different performance levels, and you'll hit sort of problems with it, I'd imagine. Do see a lot of people going on about I can't launch X, Y, Z. Breach. Okay, so what I normally always do with this, same thing. Just go to settings, go to video, switch off the maximum FPS, go to graphics, one back to ultra, yep. Then one back to DLSS super resolution, apply, and then we just run it. Confirm. So I'm expecting great things here, and I'm not so sure now after seeing Doom, because that's the lowest Doom result so far, and it shouldn't be. Yeah, there's something going on with my hard drive. Look how slow that's loading. Look how slow that's loading. Yeah, so very difficult. This is just sort of thrown me. I just thought this was going to be like one of these videos. I mean, I just don't rehearse this stuff. I just thought this was one of these really easy videos where you go, okay, everything's exactly as you'd expect it to be. So you'd expect Cachy to be everything because of the optimized kernels and everything like that. I mean, as I said, this is the default install, but it isn't. It's the same, and now we've got Doom is 20 frames per second slower, and then we're going to see this. Now this hopefully will allow me to go, okay, Doom's an aberration, and it's a bit of a problem. So if this sits at about 88, then great. Then that's the same as it is on normal Arch, Archie, not Mint, or the same as Cosmic, because I still think there's something weird going on with why Mint got such a high score. Here we go. We're in the 90s. There we are. That looks better. 88. It's all 1440p. This. I mean, the 5060 Ti is a good card for that. I mean, the 9060 XT I've got is really nice as well. And that allows you to do all this stuff at 4K. I mean, admittedly, it's a bit slower at 4K. But I mean, 1440p, there's not a huge amount of difference between AMD and NVIDIA, I don't think. You know, it's a good value card. It's about £100, £150 cheap. I mean, the price of cards and stuff now, memory and RAM and everything is gone through the roof, isn't it? But again, I'm just going to put the flag up here. The Arc B50, B580 is a good card, and you can get it to work on here. It's on mine. There's just a monitor issue where something to do with HDR. It lets you, once the Arc wants to go into HDR, my monitor pretends to be HDR, but it's not. But the moment you switch it off, crashes it, and that's a Mesa issue. Here we go. This is going to be good because that's over 100. 94. Okay, that's more like it. So yeah, 94, not as quick as Mint, but it's 88 on Pop and about 88 or 89 on 89 on Archie. So that's correct. That's right. So I don't know what's going on with Doom. Confirm. Let's come out of that. He says, come on. And it's going to come out. Just continue. Just come out of that. Okay, now on this, the super controller doesn't work, so I have to go Steam, Power, switch to desktop. That still works. But the super controller, I don't know what they've done a tweak to this, because it worked 3 weeks ago. And we're back on the desktop. There you go. So over to me, he says. All right, so that was interesting. I expected that to win on everything. I'm interested by why Doom doesn't perform as well. Now, I think that's a Vulkan game. But same scores on Returnal, exactly the same as all the others. Slightly higher on Cyberpunk, but it doesn't beat Mint. That's interesting. And then a lower score on Doom. So it's not cut and dry, is it really? I mean, we're going to try Bazzite next. The next one is Bazzite. And Bazzite is like an optimized, dedicated gaming platform. I mean, Cachy's an operating system. Bazzite's all focused on gaming. So we'll run Bazzite and we'll see what happens. And Bazzite has its own home theatre mode, which is like what I've done, but you can launch into it. So to this, but I've got a launcher for this, so I just thought it would be easier to do the Bazzite one as home theatre. But I'm expecting them all to be similar. Anyway, that was quite interesting. I didn't expect that to have that much disparity. Anyway, so thanks for watching as ever, and we'll look at Bazzite next. And if you want that launcher, that Cachy launcher, it's in the members section. So join as a member, you can have it. I'm going to go back to that because it's not 100%. I'm not happy with it not loading the games in the background, or the Super Shift R part not working to exit. So I'll do some tweaks to that as well. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that business. And yeah, see you shortly with the Bazzite one.